Alright, what's up, guys? So, WrestleMania has uploaded a video titled 10 Moments WWE Fans Thought Were Real. I know when I was a kid, I'll never forget that. It was when Vince McMahon, he blew up in that limousine. Bro, I remember I seen that, like, kid me. How old was I when that happened? I think I was like maybe 10 or 11 when that had went down. And I'm sitting there running around the house, like, telling people, I'm like, because I had just gotten wrestling at that time. So I'm like, hey, yo, what was this? Like, what was going on here? I'm out here running around the house telling everybody Vince McMahon just blew up in the car and things. They all looking at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the car blew up. It was on TV. The car exploded and things. And yeah, it was like, they all like looking around. They was just like, yeah, I think that was just fake. I think that was just like a segment or something. I'm like, it's not fake. It's real. Like, this really happened, okay? 11-year-old me, he wasn't playing around when it came to wrestling, so. But yeah, I was like, that was, I was the, I not, or was I 10? I think I was 10 or 11. But anyways, because I think when I was either 11 or 12, that's when I called WWE and had asked them how old do I have to be a wrestler. So one day I'm gonna follow my wrestling dreams. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this video, guys. If you haven't, make sure you go subscribe to WrestleMania for more videos like this. And yeah, that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video.
Wait, stop! Samantha, don't get
I remember this. I thought this was one of the dopest things ever.
Some of the WWE's best storylines occur when wrestling fans are unsure what's real and what's scripted. Drawing the fine line between fact and fiction.
The Montreal screw job, that's like debatable. Like, you want to say that it's real, but it's like, dang, like what do you do in a situation like that,
It
man?
allows fans to fully invest in the story that they're seeing being unfolded on television. Notably, storylines and feuds which had real issues attached, including Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart and Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk, all produced some of the WWE's best storytelling from the past 25 years. However, over the years, there have been a number of times when WWE have attempted to trick the audience into thinking the storyline is legitimate.
They say that dude was
they?
mad over that. Oh, I remember this too. WWE, they forever. I was just like, as a kid, seeing some of those things, I'm all like, how the stage just fall apart like that? I'm like, what's going on right now? Then when they were saying each other's like actual names, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, hey yo, this is real. I'm like, this is some real stuff going on right now, man. I swear, WWE, y'all messed my childhood up.
Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists.
You bastard! I'm gonna make your life miserable! And Lena, you whore! I'm gonna make your life miserable too!
Number 10, Kyle O'Reilly's seizure. NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day featured the breakup of one of the NXT's most popular stables of all time. The Undisputed Era had dominated NXT for a number of years and had become fan favorites, with some wrestling fans wanting to see the stable called up to Raw or SmackDown.
Wait a minute! The cavalry's arrived!
Ain't no way possible they faked the seizure.
However, following Kyle O'Reilly coming to the aid of NXT champion Finn Balor in the main event, the Undisputed Era would be no more after leader Adam Cole would hit a super kick on O'Reilly, officially ending the stable.
Dang.
On the following edition of NXT, Cole would once again target O'Reilly, but this time he took things one step further when he would hit a brainbuster on O'Reilly on the steel steps.
No.
Following the move, fans who were in attendance, as well as a number of top wrestling journalists, reported that O'Reilly had suffered a seizure following the move and that he needed urgent medical assistance. This claim was supported by the fact that Triple H came from the back to check up on O'Reilly, and the fact that O'Reilly suffers from diabetes in real life. But in reality, the whole thing was a work to garner sympathy for O'Reilly and put extra heat on Cole. Number 9, Jeff Hardy's pyro incident.
But yeah, the pyro incident, I was all like, I thought that was real too. Cause they be tricking you with that stuff, man, but dang, they really had the man fake. Okay, the pyro stuff, you know, what else? Vince McMahon, like, I feel like the one of him blowing up in the car, like, that's, you know, debatable. But the seizure, I don't think I could fake some stuff like that, because it's not like, you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, bruh, like seizures be really happening out here, so I'm like, I don't know. But the Jeff Hardy pyro thing, I remember I was watching that and I was at home like looking like, hey yo, this some real stuff right here. Hold
the best
on.
way for WWE to work the audience is to try
This
and make
storyline was
everything
pretty
involved in a
crazy
particular moment
though.
as real and as authentic as possible. They achieved this when Jeff Hardy's pyro went off in his face in 2009.
I seen that. I was just all like,
Jeff would be on his way
I can't remember what year this happened, but I stood up and was just like, oh my god, what just happened? And I'm like, that ain't normal.
to the ring during his reign as WWE Champion when suddenly his pyro malfunctioned and Jeff fell to the floor. The moment was made to look as real as possible as Jeff fell to the floor and a stagehand immediately rushed
Edge
over
was
to
in the
check on
ring
Hardy.
like...
Moments later, medical staff and some of Jeff's closest friends in real life, such as Shane Helms, would emerge from the backstage area to check on him. The angle managed to work a lot of fans, but in reality, it was a storyline to set up Matt Hardy turning on Jeff.
Oh, that's crazy.
Leading to the match between the two at WrestleMania 25. Number 8, Eddie Guerrero's mother has a heart attack.
Fam, what?
By my resume because normal people never let their
What
dreams
was
get
these
beyond their
like?
front
Right?
door because
You can. My thing is like WWE can write stuff like this, but y'all can't write wrestlers in. Like you guys is that quick to fire them, but would do some stuff like this. Like fam,
they are
come
scared
on.
of failure.
That is crazy.
In 2004, WWE decided to turn Bradshaw into JBL and make him a top heel on SmackDown. This was a huge risk on the part of WWE, as JBL had been a tag team wrestler for the majority of his career, and fans weren't going to just automatically accept him as a top star without some work. His character finally managed to get over when he caused Eddie Guerrero's mother to have a heart attack at a live event leading into their match at 2004's Judgment Day pay-per-view.
Bradshaw had the audacity to put his hand on Eddie Guerrero's mother. This was a no. I agree with you, Cole. And you see Eddie's wife there.
Due to the angle taking place at a live event and not on WWE television, fans actually thought it was real and it wasn't part of a story. Of course, in reality, it was a total work and everyone was in on it.
Guerrero put his family in harm's way.
That's crazy.
Eddie has to take responsibility for the circumstances.
Because I'm like my thing is like I ain't gonna be on the ropes. I'm like, oh, you lucky you got out of the ring. Otherwise, I'm like, you still been nah, fam. I'm like, you put your hands on my mom. I'm chasing you all throughout that building, and I ain't gonna stop until I see you on the ground crying. Like, nah, that ain't gonna slide. That's crazy. That is some crazies. But dang, that is like, man, I'm. Bruh, that is some wild stuff, man.
Speaking to Corey Graves on the After the Bell podcast, JBL shared some details in relation to how they pulled off the angle. The JBL character wasn't working at all. They didn't see me as this main event guy, and Chavo and Eddie come up with the heart attack angle in El Paso on Mother's Day weekend with his 74-year-old mother. And the best part about it was, I'm listening to Chavo and Eddie talk, and they almost get into a fist fight in the back, as Guerreros tend to do as they were pitching this angle.
Wow.
Number 7, Occupy Raw. During WrestleMania season in 2014, WWE was in a bit of a weird place.
Who is not here this evening?
CM Punk had just left, and fans didn't want to see Batista versus Randy Orton as the main event of WrestleMania, and Daniel Bryan's popularity had reached new heights, and fans were literally demanding him to win the world title. This period heading into WrestleMania was met with a lot of vocal members from the audience booing a lot of what WWE were presenting.
WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
So you gotta sell it. That's the problem.
And social media movements such as #CancelWWE Network was trending.
I think I remember
WWE would
that.
play into this when they ran the infamous Occupy Raw segment. This involved random fans invading the ring in Daniel Bryan t-shirts in support of Bryan, who was demanding to face Triple H at WrestleMania, with the added stipulation that the winner would be added to Batista
So
versus
wait a minute,
Orton
them
later
were
in the
actors?
pay-per-view.
Nah. No, they weren't.
And we are not going to leave this ring until the authority gives us what we want. Isn't that right?
Them wasn't actors.
The angle worked because it played off what was actually happening with wrestling fans at the time, with their frustrations being heard.
Oh, it was...
Number 6, a soldier jumps into the ring. In October 2014, WWE ran an angle where Rusev was going to pull down the American flag which was hanging above the ring. As Rusev was about to pull the flag down, a soldier jumped the barricade and tried to stop him. Rusev backed away from the soldier as he entered the ring, and WWE security stopped him from coming towards Rusev, adding to the drama as if this was a real incident.
Wow.
Rusev would then hit a super kick on the soldier.
I do not remember that. Was I asleep or something?
Thus leading to the WWE's medical team coming out to check on him. The moment felt even more real as the Big Show came out irate at the incident and gave one of the best promos of his career.
Huh.
There are certain lines you don't cross.
Number 5, Ronda
Rousey. You know Big Show gonna get the crying. I'm like, fam. I'm like, dang, man, that's crazy. Cause you know, like, yeah, you know the U.S. military had been all over WWE. They probably did. I feel like they might have gotten a call. If they didn't, then it was like, okay, you know, let's just let it be and stuff. But yeah, it's like, you know, U.S. military calls like, hey, so that's allowed, like. That couldn't have been. They're like, oh no, it was staged, it was fake. That was, you know, it was a real soldier, but it was just he was in on it. We paid him like $1,000. He said he'll do it. So, anyways, I'm like, fam, that is wow, that is wild.
Works the entire WWE fan base.
You, me, and everyone else here knows that I have the ability to kill you with my bare hands without even breaking a sweat.
Well, dang.
In the build towards Ronda Rousey's main event showdown at WrestleMania 35 against Becky Lynch and Charlotte
I like
Flair.
that one where they got into it and they was like, they got arrested and they all just was going crazy and stuff. I have to say that was probably like one of my like favorite like women's wrestling moment. I'm like, just or overall just wrestling moment, because I'm like, fam, they were going at it. I'm like, hey yo, like when the cops going like when the cops gonna arrest them? I'm like, hey yo, you guys need to stop playing around. They're gonna hurt somebody. So I'm like, y'all need to stop that. But
both Ronda and WWE seemingly managed to work a strong majority of the audience into thinking what was happening was 100% real.
Dang.
I poured my heart out and sacrificed my body for your entertainment. And what'd you do, huh? You put me at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, my home.
Now, in March of 2000,
it was like WrestleMania. They just posted recently that she's pregnant now. I'm like, dang, so that's why she hasn't been appearing. It's like she's working on the family right now, so.
Ronda would upload a vlog to her official YouTube channel where she would reveal her displeasure for the WWE audience as well as WWE management. She would state,
Rebecca Quinn talked shit about my husband, and I told her I'd beat the out of her next time I saw her. And guess what? I beat the out of her, didn't I? I'm just like, you know, fuck you people. All you guys.
Ronda then revealed that she went off script during a promo on Raw, and she stated,
It wasn't a promo. They gave me other things to say. I didn't say it.
Ronda managed to turn into a top heel in the WWE overnight as she blurred the lines between what was real and what was kayfabe. Number 4, Shawn Michaels collapses in the ring on Raw in 1995.
Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame in. You know, that kind of stuff just sort of happens to me.
Now, back in 1995, WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels was involved in a real altercation at a bar where he would suffer a concussion. On the following edition of Raw, HBK would be booked to face Owen Hart. During the match, he would randomly collapse to the floor.
In an almost surreal moment last week, Michaels collapsed. A stunned national television audience looking on.
As this was the after effects of a concussion. Fans in attendance were shocked as this was extremely rare for WWE to do something of this nature.
Like,
officials
they look like the kid from The Good Son. I'm like, fam, what's he out there doing? I'm like, what's that? I can't even think of that guy. What's it? Elijah Woods? Was that his name? I think that was his name. I don't know. But anyways, I think that's his name. But moving on.
Even Vince McMahon got into the ring to check on HBK, which made it appear even more legitimate, as many fans at this point didn't even know that McMahon owned the WWE. Now, in reality, this was all staged, and it was done to garner sympathy for HBK as they were trying to make him the top babyface in the company.
Nonetheless, Shawn Michaels was anxious to return to action. But did he return too soon?
Number 3, CM Punk's pipe bomb.
I have
This is debatable. I'm like, this is debatable.
On June 27th, 2011, CM Punk sat at the top of the Raw stage and cut one of the most iconic promos in WWE history.
Yeah.
He would rip into everything about
there's been times where I've been streaming and then fans will come, we'll get to talking about wrestling, and then at some point in time, like CM Punk's pipe bomb promo, it was like, it always gets talked about. I'm like, dang, if that's, I don't know, man. I'm like, that was real. You ain't gonna tell me otherwise. That's why I'm gonna have to act like that one wrestling fan that broke out and started crying, talking about wrestling is real. I'm like, nah, this was real. Y'all ain't gonna tell me different. I know real wrestling when I see it. This was real. That man, that stuff was coming from the heart.
You would name drop taboo subjects such as Vince McMahon dying, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, and even backstage politics.
You're as good as kissing Vince's ass as Hulk Hogan was.
Crazy.
And when this happened, the majority of fans felt it was real, and this was supported by the fact that Punk's microphone was cut off at the moment he was talking about the WWE's anti-bullying campaign, something that could have seriously damaged the relationship between WWE and major sponsorships. Now, the reality is that the entire promo was a work shoot designed to build towards Punk vs. Cena at 2011's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Number 2, Brock Lesnar vs. Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
The main event of SummerSlam in 2016 featured Brock Lesnar.
Dude, who they say it was like Chris Jericho approached them in the back. They almost actually got into it.
Hard elbow on Orton, which
That's
left
crazy.
Orton in a bloody mess in the ring.
That's crazy. Ain't no way possible I'll do some stuff like that.
It resulted in the referee stopping the match and awarding the victory to Lesnar. And fans had not seen something like this done before, especially in a PG environment.
Yeah,
and
that's
some fans
wild.
believed that it was legitimate. Now, interestingly, it wasn't just the fans who were worked by the angle, as Chris Jericho confronted Lesnar backstage, assuming that Lesnar had gone into business for himself. The truth was that it was just an angle to draw heat on Lesnar, and WWE certainly achieved that. And number 1, Vince McMahon's limo blows up.
Man, I'm so glad that they added this. I'm so glad, because I'm like, there's other people that thought it was real too.
With June 2000 edition of Raw, Vince McMahon would enter his limo, only for it to explode into flames.
I was like, I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, no. I was like, that ain't real. I was losing it.
Now, the purpose of the storyline was that it was supposed to see the end of the Mr. McMahon character and possibly introduce his brother into the scene. However, due to the Chris Benoit incident, WWE were forced to drop the angle with immediate effect.
Why would you stage your own demise? And quite frankly, the answer
because then they have it where it's like he came back at the Royal Rumble, and then Stephanie McMahon was mad. Then she kissed Triple H, and wasn't it that, or am I just got my wrestling dates all wrong?
Very simple. I needed to know whether or not you really cared.
Now, many fans obviously believe that this was a worked angle. Vince McMahon was clearly alive. But one individual who was worked by the storyline was former US President Donald Trump, as Trump even called the WWE HQ to ask if it was true that his friend Vince McMahon had really died. Trump was reassured that this was just a storyline.
Yes.
But there you have it, folks. 10 WWE
Had
moments
me
that fans
just
thought were
losing
real.
it.
Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for
'Cause
exclusive
I remember-
lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
Because I remember after that, I was telling, when I told my family that, they were just all thinking, they were like, oh, this boy tripping. Vince McMahon ain't died. And then it was when the Chris Benoit situation had went down. I remember I didn't believe it, because I was all like, man, I'm like, this is probably just another, like, Vince McMahon stuff. I'm like, I ain't believing in that. So then it was all like, I think that's how I knew that the Chris Benoit situation was real, when my mom was all like, hey, that wrestler that you told me that died last night, he made the news, like, he's on the news and stuff. And the Vince McMahon thing didn't make it on the news. And so I was like, hey, so that might be real. I'm like, that Chris Benoit situation, I think it is real. And so, yeah, kid me, I was like, had me just all confused with wrestling. But anyways, yeah, that was just, this video was wild. All the different things WWE would do. But I'm like, they can't have like certain wrestlers on TV or whatever. But anyways, pretty good video. Make sure you guys go subscribe to WrestleLamia for more videos like this. Like, subscribe to me too. Talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.